Welcome, everyone, to the Lake Lewis Jr. Show. Appreciate you joining us as always. It's that time. It's Friday. Everyone knows what that is. It's Friday Fan Day, where we have some of the best supporters of the Burgundy and Gold, the Washington Commanders, come on with me from all over the country. And we've got a nice list of people who are going to be coming on today. So before we get into that, if you want to subscribe to the podcast, all you have to do is subscribe via Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio for any of the any of the platforms that carry the program in audio form. But if you want to watch it, you can go to YouTube and subscribe to the Lake Lewis Jr. Show. And it's a channel. Yes, folks, you can subscribe to the podcast that way. And then, of course, on Tuesdays, if you live in the DMV, which is the Washington, D.C. and greater metropolitan area, ranging all the way up to Baltimore, down to Richmond, Virginia, you can actually listen to the show on radio. That's right, folks. On Tuesdays at 11 o'clock, you can get the Lake Lewis Jr. Show on Radio 1's WOL, which is 1450 AM and 95.9 FM. So we're going to take a break. And when we come back, we're going to have our fans on for the day. And we're going to have some really good questions. I'm going to try to stump them with something later in the show. But we've got 3 good questions, and we're going to be talking about the Washington Commanders and its new stadium that seems like it's getting ready to get finalized with the District of Columbia. Mayor Muriel Bowser is close to getting this thing done, where the Washington Commanders will be moving back to D.C. in time for the 2030 season. So it's still some years away. But this is big news if you're a Washington native like myself, a person that's just knows, at the time, the Redskins, now it's the Commanders. And so for them to get back into D.C., I just think it's such a big, big deal. And a lot of people are really excited about it because they're going back to the hallowed grounds, the sacred grounds of RFK, where some of their best memories ever, took place. And we're going to talk about that today, too. We're going to get from the fans some of their greatest memories from RFK, because that's when the glory years were there. That's when this team was going to Super Bowls almost on a yearly basis. And as a young kid at the time and being in DC, I remember those times, and they were good times. And it seems like the franchise trajectory is to go back to those days. So they're going to be going back to DC. Well, next week, the draft is here. Next Thursday, we'll know who the Washington Commanders are going to take with their 29th pick, or are they going to trade out of the pick? But we'll know who their draft class will be by Saturday of next week, and we'll know the full draft class, and we'll talk about that. But in light of that, I'm going to ask the question, what are some of the best Washington Burgundy and Gold draft classes that are out there? And I broke down some of them you got to go way back. Some of them are even before my time, but we're going to talk about that with the fans as well. So we've got a lot coming up today in a jam-packed show. Hang tight. When we come back, we'll have our Friday Fan Day. Welcome back, everyone, to the Lake Lewis Jr. Show. It's Friday Fan Day, and we've got some of our regulars joining us again from all over this great country of ours. And then we've got some new folks in here as well. So without further ado, how is everybody doing today?
Great.
Doing good.
Man.
Wonderful.
Appreciate you
Wonderful.
guys. Different time slots around the country coming in. Got some Cali folks, some Midwest folks, some East Coast folks. So we're doing it up here. And I sent you guys some questions that we're going to answer. I didn't want to throw you guys under the bus and make you, under the last second have to come up with some answers. But I thought we would have some fun with this, because the big news, obviously, this week was the fact that the football team looks like they're going to have a new stadium, and rightfully so, back where, I don't want to say where it all started, because they did play in Griffith Stadium before, but at RFK, everyone knows that's where most of the Burgundy and Gold's major memories were made. So we're going to talk about today, first of all, your excitement for the team. Are you okay with them going back to DC, or would you rather have them stay in Maryland, or maybe even move to Northern Virginia? And then we'll talk about the greatest memories that you can remember. So there's no wrong answer in this, but we want to talk about some of the great memories from RFK Stadium. If you're old enough like myself to remember those Super Bowl runs, I got a feeling we're probably going to be on the same page with a lot of those stories. But I have one game in particular that I'm going to be curious to see if any of you are going to put in one of your greatest memories. So we'll talk about that shortly. And then, of course, The draft is next week. Can you believe it's already here? It's
Wow.
here next week. So we want to talk about some of the greatest draft classes that this team's produced, not draft picks, because there's a lot of them. But if you do your homework, if you look at some of those draft picks, some of their classes are actually really good. So we'll
Yeah.
talk about that. As always, folks, if you want to subscribe to this podcast, it's very simple. You can subscribe to it via all the major podcast carriers: Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Pandora. It's on there. And if you want to watch it, which a lot of you are already doing, you can watch it here on YouTube. And all you have to do is subscribe to the show on the Lake Lewis Jr. Show channel. All right. So that's very simple. And then remember, on Tuesdays, if you live in the DMV, I think it's stretching up from Baltimore all the way down to Richmond, you can hear the show on the actual radio. So all you have to do, it's on Radio One's channel, 1450 AM and 95.9 AM. And the show on Tuesdays is at 11 o'clock. Same format, same topics. I can roll for 30 minutes without a commercial break. I mean, which is kind of rare in radio, but they're giving me that. So everything stays the same. All right. So without all those shameless plugs, let's get right into it, fellas and ladies, because we have Sheila joining us back again, as always. So let's get into it. Excitement as far as this team having a new stadium, and it's back in Washington. So we're going to start. We'll start at the top with Jay. How excited are you about this?
Ah, this is something I've been praying for. Like, just as a young fan, 27, and I've been to FedEx, Northwest, many a times with my family and my wife, and I'm just looking. I've always wanted better for the team, and we've gotten that within the last 2 years, and now we're expecting a new stadium. So very excited. I know the players gonna be happy, and us fans gonna be, we're gonna pack it out, gonna sell it out. We got a lot to be happy for. So 5 years from now, gonna come by really, really fast.
Okay. All right. Good stuff. And real quick before we move on to the next person, Jay, I do have to ask you, you only know FedEx Field, now
Yeah,
Northwest Stadium.
yes, sir.
Wow. So so
I've
you
never. I wanted to try to just get a little glimpse of RFK, but every time I'm in DC, I never get a chance to do it. But now they're basically
it's gutted.
destroying it.
So yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I
yeah.
never visited. I never visited.
You know, I'm happy for you that you're going to see something new and modern, but
Yeah.
I'm also sad for you because uh, RFK was one of the NFL shrines. It really was.
Yeah.
Everyone talks about Lambeau Field and all these other places and Wrigley. I mean, not Wrigley, but Soldier Field and all
Sure.
that. Nah, man, RFK was right up there. Great memories there. So we'll talk about that shortly. So let's move on. We have Reverend Fry joining us from California again. What's going on, Rev?
Good morning. Actually, good afternoon.
Yeah, for
Still
us it
trying to
is.
catch
It's
up.
almost good
Yeah,
evening.
still, got to catch up with that. And you know, this brings back a lot of childhood memories
Mhm.
because we used to pass by RFK going around the circle, going to church every Sunday,
Nice.
and I mean, like literally right at the stadium. And I
Mhm.
know so much has changed, but I'm really glad, like you said, like from the historical perspective of this, because and that's the unfortunate part that we went through what we've gone through, because this team was, I believe, still is, and definitely ascending back to that level of greatness. Like people, really feared our name, or when they came to play us, and
Mhm.
back when the Cardinals were in St. Louis and everything, and I
Part of the
can
NFC East.
I can remember praying for, like, there would always be something about when it rained at RFK and they had to come to us, that I think he was their tailback, Terry Metcalf.
Yep.
It was
Hmm.
something like he couldn't run on that field for some reason. He didn't have all that scat back, and so that pushed things in our favor. Like, not being by no means superstitious per se, but there was just those game type edges that, if it rained and we played St. Louis, it was a win because they were like the old Philadelphia to us, or the Dallas and everything. There were some the NFC East was actually the black and blue division, and there was a reason for that, that no matter who you played or who played us coming into that division, it was a dogfight and players left. So I'm really glad that when they were going through all the deliberations that we got, that it's in favor to come back home. There's just something magical about all of this, and that's where I'm at. Thank you.
Okay. Good stuff. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right, Sheila, you're up.
Yes, I grew up down the street from the stadium.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
Nice.
So I actually used to go up there and get all my autographs and things. And I got to go to a couple of games. That stadium was sold out. Me and my husband put our name on the list to become, get the tickets. By the time it came through, we were no good.
Oh, yeah. I mean, those things were selling like hotcakes back in the day.
Yeah, but so yeah, and my high school was across the street from the stadium.
So did you go to Eastern?
Yes, I did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I'm a DC kid, so I know. Yeah,
Our
absolutely.
school actually got to play in that stadium for the inter high championship that year.
They sure
So
did. Yeah.
I had a lot of things to talk about that stadium. Being in there and letting them thing bounce up and down, the platforms bounce up and down.
Yeah.
I was just thankful we made it out of there, but it was fun. It was fun. I got to see Billy Kimmel, got to see Joe Theismann. I got to see what's his name before Billy Kimmel. So
Sonny Jurgensen.
Yeah, Jurgensen, yeah. So I got to see a lot of games in there. I wasn't a season ticket holder, but you would have thought so. And so yeah.
Okay. See, this is good stuff. I mean, obviously we have age differences, as far as our panel. This is what I'm calling you guys now, and this is good because you get a chance to hear everybody's, excitement. First of all, I think it's safe to say everyone's happy they're moving back to DC. Is it fair to say that?
Yeah.
As far as the group. Okay. All right. So Brad, you're up. You're up in Michigan and Detroit. The enemy right now, and he's still repping though. Every week he's got some new gear, new W's, new Commander stuff. That's what's up, man.
I've only been to DC twice to the games, and last year was the only time that they won, but I take the opportunity to ride past RFK, and it's amazing to me how close it is right to the neighborhood.
Right.
And so bringing that stadium back, how it's touching the fan base, and that's a salute to the owner, Josh Harris. How he, I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of parties involved with that, but to get the fan base, and imagine what's that going to do. And we're winning to bring the fans back. That's amazing. That's exciting. And I did have a question, and I'm not trying to go off script though, but
that's okay.
As far as body of work, do you think that Josh Harris has done more in 1 year than Dan Snyder has done in 20 years?
That goes without saying.
Without question.
Without
question.
Yeah,
I mean,
he got
crazy. He's
the
done
owner,
everything.
the GM, the coach, and the quarterback all in line. And then to bring the stadium back in 1 year, he has done more.
And the fans.
And the fans,
literally, and the fans, and I can say this, on a personal level, because my better half was a former cheerleader. They're doing a better job with trying to bring the cheerleaders back. The alum cheerleaders. They've changed kind of the format of the cheerleading that they have now. Like the Command Force it's more like urban hip hop type stuff. But at the end of the day, they're trying to, make inroads with the former cheerleaders, because that was an ugly ordeal, as everyone knows. Wow. So Brad, man, you hit it on the head. I mean, He's done a lot. Now, I've had a lot of people over the last couple of days. There's always going to be that negative element.
Yeah.
Still in my timeline, you go on X or Twitter, and they're on there saying, because I said it's a great time if you're a supporter of the Burgundy and Gold. And I named everything you just said, Brad, all the layers of why you should be excited and happy. Now you're going back to DC with the stadium. Well, people were like, yeah, well, it'll only be better if you change the name. And this guy now, people were saying, well, now I know, with the cost of this stadium, I'm going to be paying extra money on beer and all this stuff at the games. And I'm like, man, you really can't make everybody happy. If
No.
you aren't happy about this ownership group and this management and coaching staff and players and the way they conduct themselves, if you can't be happy about this, then you're probably not a fan. That's my response to that.
I agree.
So let it go. So good stuff, Brad. Yeah, that's all right. Tony, you're up.
Yeah, man. I grew up in this area. I'm 48 years old. I was born into a family that was like over the top Redskins, burgundy and gold family.
Nice.
So some of my earliest memories are, those 1980s teams. My grandparents became season ticket holders in the late 80s. And it was, the vibe that was around this city and this area about the team in that period of time, went away kind of when they changed stadiums.
It did.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited about them moving it back to that area because like it seemed like, especially if you were at the Atlanta Falcons game, you could see, like I only watched it on TV, but you could see that the vibe was there, man. Like it hadn't been since those days.
Yeah, this year's media. This was the first year I can honestly say. I mean, there have been games here and there at FedEx or Northwest now that, I could say, yeah, it was loud. It kind of gave you a little bit of what RFK was like, but that was just for one game. It was like the divisional kind of division championship game against the Cowboys in 2012. For who won the division and got in. And it was rocking in the stadium. This year, the Falcons game, I thought the Steelers game was really, really different because normally Pittsburgh's crowd are normally like 70-30 on the road. Wasn't like that at FedEx. Well, it's Northwest. But the point is we just got small glimpses at the new stadium. Now you go back to RFK, it was like that every week, no matter what the opponent was. It could be a team that was coming in with one win on the season. They still were going to get the same fan base, the same raucous crowd, the bleachers moving, all that. They were going to get the same thing, the band playing. All of that nostalgia was on display. And you're right, Tony. When they moved to FedEx, it wasn't the same. It
like
just
with
wasn't.
With the foundation that they're laying right now, like there's no reason to think that vibe won't just keep going and carrying over. So it's really like perfect timing to be moving into a new stadium in exactly the same site where all that memories and all that magic happened at. It just seems like it's
Oh yeah.
the perfect storm of what this area needs from the we love our football team here, man.
Yeah. And I think people, you got to think, man, the fan base is starved for success because they just hadn't had it in a long time. And if you're old enough, like, not calling people's ages out, but a lot of you can remember those days. And you remember you only got upset about this team when they exited in the playoffs. That was it. And that was like rare, when I remember when they lost a divisional playoff game to the Bears, when the Bears were like a year away from becoming the monsters in the middle of the next year.
Yeah.
Walter Payton and company came in and beat Washington. And I was just so like distraught, man. Like
we were really spoiled back then, man.
Yeah. I mean, like if you're, it's kind of like if you're a kid growing up with Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, I mean, you probably took that loss to the Eagles on the chin because the way they lost that game was kind of like how we lost to the Raiders in the Super Bowl. If you guys can remember that. Those were things that you just didn't expect to happen. So good stuff, Tony. All right, so Brandon, you're up. What you got?
I mean, I've been seeing all I don't know if you guys have seen them. They have like little renderings of what it could look like, or there's that one with a crazy roof and all that. But just if it's anything like that, and Yeah, I grew up, I'm 51. I got to see him go to 4 Super Bowls and almost go this year. And I remember, Jay, you should check out some old past videos of like what Blake was talking about, how the stadium would rock. They're literally the stadium, people would bounce up and down. It was crazy, right? And it was and like what Lake said, 2 teams did not want to go there. Like Dallas would be like, oh God, there's fans
Yeah.
and the thing. And when Riggins was running, some guy brought in some horn and
Oh,
it was
it's
like,
Oh,
it was crazy. So I mean, I'm excited. I want him to go back to DC. This year was the most. I went to 3 games this year, and I was lucky enough to go to the Cleveland game, the Philly game where we came back and won, and I went to the Falcons game. And each game I saw the crowd get, but besides the Philly game was tough because it was like there was more Philly fans than there were our fans there because they travel really good. But towards the end of the game, they started being quiet. But seeing how the fans got louder and louder each game, that's just only going to just come back over tenfold to the new stadium. So I'm excited, man. I've always wanted them to go back to DC because it's not the Landover Commanders, it's the Washington Commanders.
That's
Right?
that's an excellent point. And I used to always tell people, before Janine and me moved here, I was in Ashburn, for 12 years, literally right up the street from the facility. And I used to tell people, they're like, oh man, it's great. You must be awesome for you to, live literally like 5 minutes from where you work every day. And I'm like, yeah, but the problem is on Sundays, you're talking about a 3-hour trip with traffic. And then you're going into Maryland. You're driving through DC from Virginia to get to Maryland for the games. And it just hits you like the Washington Commanders, Washington Redskins, Washington football team.
Yeah.
They had nothing to do with DC except for the name. So
That's it.
to be able to come back into DC and not be known as the only sports franchise in the area that's not in DC.
Right.
With Josh Harris, the way they do business, that stadium's going to be glorious, man. It's going to be something.
It'll
And
be better than SoFi. It's gonna be. It's gonna be
and I
dope,
just hope though that it's not one of these big monster stadiums because I do like that intimacy of a smaller stadium, similar, say like M&T Bank Stadium up the road in Baltimore. That's like the perfect size, man. It really is. It's not too small, but it's not too big. And I always say this: the bigger the stadium, the more opposing fans that you can get in there. So you kind of got to keep it, just about maybe 70,000 and do it up with all the bells and whistles. So good stuff there, Brandon. All right. So we got Herb Senior's in the group now. Welcome to the group, Herb.
Hey, look, I'm coming to you live from New Orleans, okay?
Okay, okay,
and the
okay.
Belle Maison right off of Canal Street. So
okay,
Nice.
all right. So
while I'm on vacation, so
well, enjoy your vacation. All right. So we got Mike Barrett up next, though, actually. And so, Mike, what you got going on? Appreciate you joining us too, by the way.
Thank you. And just so you know, I'm waiting for the call from my daughter. So at any time, I may have to split.
Understand,
But
man.
I wanted to see you guys this week. I wasn't here last week. The only thing I'm all right, brace yourself. I'm one of those tailgate people, man. I'm one of those tailgate people. That was the only good thing about the stadium in Landover.
It was
Ralph
enough
John,
space.
whatever they called it in the beginning was.
Yeah.
And so you get used to saying, where are you? I'm at, the orange lot, such and such. And you go from here and go from there and go.
Right.
And unfortunately, I never saw not one game in RFK.
Wow.
Oh,
All I
wow.
know is the tailgate experience at FedEx.
Wow.
So that's
wow.
it. I'm old enough to have gone to RFK, but my
Mhm.
parents weren't buying any Redskin tickets. It's like you got a meal on the table, you turn on this brand new color TV we bought and enjoy it.
Hey man, listen, that's understandable right there. I can respect that. I can respect that.
But I'm for the decision only because this is the only connection we have to the past.
Yeah.
Is being and ironically, it will be in the same spot.
Yeah.
Because outside of that, we wearing these logos that never were playing in, in Maryland. It's like an expansion team. Everything's new. Now we could go back to DC, and that's the only connection that I could think of, or at least the biggest one to the past.
Well, I
So
think there's going to be another connection that's going to be in play too over the next 2-3 years, and I'm pretty comfortable. This is just for me, okay? So if you want to stick it on somebody, you can stick it on me.
Okay.
But I'm pretty comfortable from talking with folks that I think that logo is going to be back in play here real soon.
Okay.
Whoa.
All right, hold
Wait.
on. I'm putting
I knew they was
down
doing the
paper. What
uniforms. I didn't know
time is
about the logo.
What you doing,
5:33?
man?
I'm just saying,
5:33?
listen,
Blake,
man.
what you doing,
I'm
brother?
just,
Blake,
I
what you
mean,
doing? What you doing, man?
think
What you doing?
I do. I think that logo is going to be back in play here real soon.
Politically, I don't know if that's possible.
Well, it absolutely is possible. And the reason being, from people I've talked to, the logo was never the issue. It was the name.
Yeah.
And they just did it all to get away with it all together. Sure. But the logo was created by a Native American.
That's right.
So
let me ask this question though: how do you connect that picture or that mindset with the name Commanders? I mean,
you just listen. It's just like if you get I don't know. I mean, you get anything. Like, what's a Yankee? I mean,
well, they
don't have a mascot. They just have a Y.
So
they got
New York. I mean,
yeah.
so what all I'm saying is that you're not going to make a lot of people in this fan base happy unless they went back to Redskins, which they're never going to do. So you have to accept that and move on. And for those of you that don't want to move on from that, then you are. I hate to say this because I'm not trying to call people out on their personal beliefs, but I just feel like if you're stuck on that name and you won't let it go and you won't cheer for this team because of that name, you're part of what's going on in the fabric of our society right now, where you can't be sympathetic to anything. Like, I understand cancel culture and all that, but they're doing everything possible to connect the past to the present. And I do know for a fact that feather, when you saw Coach Quinn wearing, in practice, he had the shirt on and with the feather on it with the W.
That wasn't by
That stuff's not by coincidence, folks.
The Revs got it there.
I might see them come back with the spear, like the helmet, the old.
But see, they can't. But see, I don't think they're gonna do that because that is. I know this sounds crazy. I'm just telling you from what I've been told. Like the logo, it's a logo, but then once you start going other garb, like that's kind of Native American stuff or stuff you can relate to that, then you kind of opening up another can.
But you know what, Lake?
You can just boom, pop that. Go ahead.
At my job, I spoke to some Native Americans. It was a whole family of them, and they said they were not offended by the logo at all because the logo paid homage to
absolutely and it was a warrior. It was a
warrior to them, and they said they were not. What they told me, it was a family of them in front of the hospital. They said the name change, the logo change was all politically driven.
Yeah,
it had nothing to do with them. Yeah,
of course it was, and I'm going to also say this too. I don't want to get in trouble, and we're not making this show about the name.
No.
But
good.
But I can say this. I truly believe this. If Dan Snyder was never the owner, this would have never changed.
No,
I feel like that. So
it was an attack. It was an attack.
Yeah. It was to get on him.
Deliberate.
Like, you're not going to do this? Okay, watch. Not only are you going to do that, you're going to get rid of your team. So good for everybody that's happened. If changing the name meant that man wasn't the owner of this team,
I'll take that.
You should have signed up for that a long time ago.
8 ways
because now you got football you can actually watch for a change. All right, so let's go to Zell here. What you got, Zell?
All right, so I'm 29, right? Man,
so I don't babies.
I don't really. I'm jealous because my mom, she's from DC. I'm from DC. She went to Eastern High School. So
okay.
Over there by RFK. Yeah. Right by RFK.
Yeah. She went
to school. So she got the, the history and she got the experience, RFK rocking and everything. But for me, like the earliest, when I started getting to the team, it was just FedEx. It was just FedEx from what I know. And when I started watching the team, we had Clinton Portis. That's when I started. Sean Taylor, Jason Campbell. that's when I started to get into the team. Those are Chris Cooley. Those are my players that I got ushered into. And, you know, unfortunately, we didn't win too much, but it was my hometown team. So that was the team my family loved.
Hey,
That's
good
the
for
team I
you,
grew up
man,
loving.
because I can't stand when someone's from DC and they're cheering for someone else. That just doesn't make sense
It makes
because
no sense.
winning
My
brings
my,
money
my
to the
brothers are.
economy. I mean,
Mhm.
I'm sorry, Brad, but it's okay because you're cheering for the right team.
Okay, all right.
I got family members that's Cowboys fans, though.
Right,
Like,
that's it.
Oh, yeah.
Cowboys
Yeah.
fans.
Well,
I never
you know,
understood that. I never understood how you can be a Cowboys fan.
I'll tell you why. You're young, so you probably didn't understand the magnitude of it. But my father used to make me understand it all the time. My father was a Cowboys fan, and he was from North Carolina, you know. And
Yep.
when he was growing up, there were only two teams, Southern teams, in all of football. Literally, it was Washington and Dallas. There were no Dolphins and none of the expansion teams that really started, you know. So,
Excuse me. Sorry.
yeah. So it was like because Washington wasn't having black players, a lot of black fans were like, "Nah, I'm just gonna go with the Cowboys then." And that's kind of how that started. Like my father never cheered for Washington until his son started covering them. That was it. That's so before my father passed, he had a lanyard, a Redskins lanyard that he actually would keep his keys on. And I used to tease him, "You got that lanyard right?" And he was like, "Boy, only because." So yeah, that's the story behind that, Zell. So I don't really get mad at fans that are older that are Cowboys fans. But if you're young, come on, man. In DC and you're a Cowboys fan, you should be ashamed of yourself. So I'm just sorry.
Yeah.
I can't be biased there. I can't
I
be
couldn't
biased.
get with that, man. And then our uniforms, it was so unique. The burgundy and
Yeah.
gold, it was just so different from all the other teams. And
Mm-hmm.
I just fell in love with the team, man. I remember being a little kid, like elementary school, like when we would lose, because we would lose a lot.
Yeah.
Like I would be like, you know, I didn't want to go to school the next day because I used to have to talk to we had so many other fans in the area. Like people would be Dallas Cowboys fans, Giants fans, and stuff like that. And I used to have to talk to them. But yeah, man,
This is good, man. This
it
is
was
good. I'm happy for you and
The
you
new
know
one.
for all the young
newbies.
guys. I'm happy for y'all because this year you experienced what the old timers like myself
What
like
we
we were
used to.
experiencing every year. That's how it was. It was
Yeah.
runs deep into the playoffs, and that's just what you got used to. So yeah, all right. So we got Herb Senior in New Orleans. What's
Yeah.
going on?
Hey, look, first of all, I couldn't, my son called me and let me know about the stadium because I've been a little out of touch here. Things can get a little out of control in Bourbon Street sometimes. So,
Just a little bit.
but no, obviously, I go back to the 70s or whatever. I'm a child of the 60s. And so I was 10 years old when they first went to the Super Bowl. And I do remember the glory years. They were during my adult years. And I burned up quite a few brain cells celebrating those guys, back in the day and whatever. So I'm happy. I also worked at FedEx Field.
Me too.
As a bartender on the club level or whatever, in the humidor or whatever. So, I remember, like I said, now my fondest memories of RFK are the games, not the building itself. The building was a dump. Okay, everybody knows it was a refurbished baseball stadium. Okay, it was built for the Senators. It wasn't built
the Senators.
Yeah, and so when those things were rocking, those were temporary bleachers. So sometimes it unnerved me a little bit. Sometimes being in there, because you think they
thought they were going to collapse, but they never did.
and see, Jack Kent Cook did us a favor by building FedEx Field, but because he was trying to, if you remember back in the day, they had a waiting list.
When he was trying to get that done too before he passed.
Exactly.
Yeah, I remember
he was
that.
trying to build it as big as he could because he wanted to decrease that waiting list. It used to be, that waiting list would be 10 years long before you would get on there.
It was 20.
Yeah.
Okay. And it took Dan Snyder to kill that. Okay.
Yeah, but it was 20 years.
Oh no, people were there used to be jokes about, you don't want to joke about people getting divorced and stuff, but there was a joke like, when people got divorced, some people were like, you can have a house, car, kids,
I got
whatever.
the season tickets.
But you're not getting them tickets.
Oh, it was people who passed away that they would not tell the Redskins office that those people were gone
because they would put their tickets back up. Yeah.
So the revitalization of all this is wonderful to me and whatever. I mean, I'm with you. I don't want to see a big Uber stadium. I don't want to see, 100,000 people. I think 65 to 70 is good. Sight lines. What I really would love to see is a dome, but I don't know. I haven't seen any of the plans. So is there any talk of
I think I'm not sure if we're going to get a dome.
Yeah.
If anything, it would be nice maybe get a retractable roof, because I do understand that, it's not just for football. It's not just for 8-9 weeks a season. For football, it's year round, where you can have, the reason why the Cowboys are the most lucrative team in the world isn't because of the wins, because they don't win on the field. As far as, for championships, they haven't won one in over 30 years. So it's clearly because of the gate that they get for all the events,
Final Four, WrestleMania, all that kind of stuff.
Man, boxing matches.
They get college football games there all the time.
They're doing it all. They're probably gonna have a Final Four in basketball there soon. So, so this is like perfect timing. And folks, right now here on the Lake Lewis Jr. Show is Friday Fan Day, and we have some of the best supporters of the Burgundy and Gold on with us from all over the country. And right now we're breaking down just the excitement of the news that came out the other day as far as the football team possibly having a stadium deal done with the city of DC. And I just, I told you guys, I think I told some of you guys they were going back to RFK. But until I saw it and heard it, it always made me think that Maryland might come in at the end of the day and sneak something in there. And I'm gonna be honest, being from DC and then having grown up in my high school years in Maryland, in Silver Spring, I didn't want the Commanders or the Redskins in Maryland. I just didn't. And for me, it started for me when I was a kid, because my godparents actually worked at RFK Stadium. And, they were part of it. It's not, obviously it wasn't Monumental Sports, but it was whatever the Capitol Sports. It was something that they did where they would work at RFK, they would work at the Capitol Center. So I would see like WrestleMania at the Capitol Center. But I would also see the Redskins at RFK. And I actually was at Joe Gibbs' first win as the coach. Wow. I mean, he started off bad. I mean, I think they were 0-6 or something like that.
0-5.
0-5, right. And they beat the Cardinals. I was at that game. And, I had no idea what was about to happen. But from that win going forward, it was some good football. So
they went like 8-3 down the stretch and ended up
sure
8-8.
Did. Yeah, so. Sure did. So let's do this. Let's have some fun here. Let's talk about moments, like, some of the great moments you can recall at RFK. And we don't have to go around the clock. You can just chime in whenever. It's easy because we're on this Zoom platform. Whoever gets the first call out, you'll be the person everyone sees. So let everyone just respect that person, and then we'll just work it around. So I'm going to say, for me, literally my most memorable moment in that stadium was, and this was the game I was telling you guys about. Let's see if some of you had this on your list. It was the playoff game in '91 against the Falcons.
Man, I was going to say that.
The cushion game.
The cushion game.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Were like, I mean, seriously, man, you kind of were like this, because the cushions were coming from everywhere. And it was cold. It was rainy.
And you had empty hammer there.
Yeah, and it felt like them things, if it hit your cheek, you might have had a slice on you. So, but it was just one of them games. I mean, and I hate to say this, but it's true. Some of y'all can say that. The Redskins used to beat the stuffing out of teams so much and so frequently, you got bored at the game sometimes. Am I making that up? Like, you found other things to do in the stadium because you always seeing a beating taking place. So that cushion game, I think somebody just said, man, I'm gonna throw this seat back in, and all of a sudden they started just raining down on the field. So
let me expound on that one, Lake, because I was gonna say that same thing, right?
Nice.
Like that season, my grandparents got on the season ticket list in the mid to early 70s, and they got their tickets in the late 80s, right? And I was about 13, 14, 15 around that period of time in the early 90s when that season happened. Mm-hmm. And my grandma wouldn't like to go to the games when there was bad weather. So I would always go over there, wash the car, rake leaves, do whatever I could do to wiggle my way in there to get to go with my grandfather to them games that season, right? And that sea cushion game, like I'll never forget it, man, because Jerry Glanville was on TV. He was talking trash.
Trash talk.
He sure was.
We had MC Hammer made his little too legit to quit video. You know, they kept showing him on the jumbotron.
Dion was on that team.
It was.
Dion was on that team, and I mean they had kind of gotten a lot of steam behind them because like they started winning late in the season and stole that wild card spot.
Yeah.
Right. And everybody kind of forgot about us because we were just rolling through the season, just punishing.
We were
everybody.
killing everybody that year.
Right.
I mean, literally.
So we were just kind of quiet throughout the whole thing. No one really was going to happen, you know. And it like you said, it really was like bad weather that day, you know. And we trashed them, man. I don't remember how much we won by or what the score.
I think the score was.
Guys out, man.
I think
it was a lot too little.
56 to something. I think we hung 56 on them.
Yeah, it was bad, right?
Yeah.
Like you said,
it was a lot too little. That's what I remember.
that team was diabolical.
And then it was like 3 or 4. Next thing you knew, like the whole sky was flooded with yellow. Them things was just
Charles Mann said they disrespected the team.
Yeah, we dogged them. That was a great memory.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you think about those games, and especially in the 91 season, we all know about the offense and scoring all these points.
Yeah, they had an all-time defense, man.
That defense was
all-time good defense.
Capital punishment, man.
I mean, that defense was probably one of the better defensive, you know, units. If you really think about how much the offense was scoring on people,
we had shutouts that year, like multiple.
The defense had like 4 shutouts, and they
only lost 2 games that year.
Yeah, well, one of those games,
and one of them they gave away.
That was the Eagles game.
Yeah,
the last game of the season. They rested.
The Cowboys are only team.
Look, the Eagles still had to win that on a last-second field goal against the backups. So
if I could, for me, and I get into bar fights about this all the time. That's the best team I've ever seen in my life, and I don't care who we're talking about. That team was.
I'm not gonna argue with you.
When they
give up 9 sacks that year, they give up 9. I mean, how do you go through a whole football season, 16 games, and you give up 9 sacks? That was the best football team I've ever seen in my life.
And it wasn't like they weren't passing the football either.
Right. No.
Rippon was averaging like 25 a game. You know,
Gary Clark was hitting bombs left and right on that.
That was the most dominant football team I've ever seen in my life, and and I'm talking about all period football.
That's a good one.
Dominant football team I've ever seen.
It's always on like of the most underrated Super Bowl teams. It's always number 1. It's always.
A couple years ago, they had a poll and you know, asked some seasoned you know, journalists. I wasn't part of that, but you need not ask me because I would have said yes. But the point was, when they tallied everything up, that Redskins 91 team actually had the most votes for the most
Bears
dominant team.
Is comparable, right?
Yeah. People were saying that the Patriots team, but
that was good.
I'm gonna say this, and if you're a Patriots fan, sorry. And again, I can't be biased there, but you lost in the Super Bowl. You don't matter. I don't care if you went undefeated. You lost in the Super Bowl. So if you don't have the hardware, you can't be part of the conversation.
And the Patriots had an all-time great, right? And Brady. That 91 team, who was our all-time great? Did we have
that offensive line?
The whole team.
Jacoby still should be in the Hall of Fame.
I mean, and see, that's the thing. Like, that's what I think that is the beauty of, and you guys can appreciate this as fans. That's the beauty of why people embraced Joe Gibbs teams, because it wasn't star driven. It was a collection that came together. I mean, the man won a Super Bowl with 3 different
QBs.
Right? I mean,
so
that's unheard of.
Hall of Famers was quiet guys, you know.
Right.
Daryl Green and Art Monk and the Hall of Fame guys was quiet guys.
Yeah, I mean, he did have one line, but he had a couple tweaks from that first Super Bowl to the last one.
Oh, no doubt. But to me, that offensive line was what made it all happen.
Okay? Absolutely.
Those guys,
Absolutely.
That's what it was all about.
And it's a shame that Joe Jacoby not in the Hall of Fame.
I mean, that's a crime. But you guys understand why they're not in the Hall of Fame, right? A lot of these guys that were on these.
I don't understand.
Well, it's because they weren't personalities. They were. I mean, we knew them in the area as personalities, but I just mean by and large, they didn't have and again, I'm not trying to throw shade on people because I work with some of these people, but they weren't in the clubs. They weren't doing drugs. They weren't,
They
you
were at
know.
that after hours club at the state
Yeah,
at the practice field, as I remember.
Over there with John
Well,
Rivers.
the one time they did do that, you saw what happened in that Super Bowl when they were out in Tampa hanging out.
We got our asses beat.
Came back and caught them. So
And let me tell you something. That team may have been the second best Redskin team I ever saw.
Yeah, that was
the
a
team
good
that lost to the
team.
Raiders. They ran roughshod over everybody until that Raiders
that team. But you guys know, and this is crazy because I know Zell's like, like and Jay, they're like, what are you guys talking about now? Like,
I just watched the highlight.
I heard
just watched the highlight.
Good.
Yeah, but
I just saw MC Hammer on the sideline of the day.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you guys this because I'm sure some of you remember this. It goes back before the Raiders Super Bowl.
Right.
The wheels started to fall off and they hung on against the 49ers. You remember that, right?
Yeah.
In that NFC Championship game, we were up 21-0, and then Niners stormed back, tied it. And then there was a little pass interference call that I don't think was pass interference. But you take them, you take them if you're a fan of the burgundy and gold. But I started to see them look tired in that game. And I felt like they left it all on the field to just hang
they had
on.
won the Super Bowl the year before.
Right.
They did.
So winning the second one is a lot of games.
But you saw them looking old, and you saw them look old real quick. And then the next year, remember, they had the Bears. And you could just see it was just like, okay, maybe the mystique is starting to wear off. So let's do this, guys.
Real quick, didn't that team set a record for points scored during that year, if I'm not mistaken?
You talking about the 82 team?
The 80, the one, not the 82, the 83 or whatever.
The 83 team. Yep, they did. Yep, they did. So, and you know who broke that record?
I thought it was Minnesota, but I couldn't be
The
wrong.
Vikings broke it, and then Washington broke theirs.
That 91.
And then the Patriots broke Washington. So, man, it's good stuff here. Good stuff, folks, here. It's Friday Fan Day here on the Lake Lewis Jr. Show. We've got some of the best supporters of the Burgundy and Gold talking about the new stadium, talking about some memories from the old RFK where the new stadium will be back on those grounds. One of the other questions that I sent you guys was, and then I have another question that, I like throwing something at you guys and give you 15 seconds to think about it. So the thing I'm going to throw at you and give you 15 seconds to think about it, do you want to do that now? Or do you want to do that after the next question?
Maybe after the next question.
After the next question.
All right. So after the next question, this one's going to get you because it's going to show me your fandom for real. All right. But the next question that's on the list is, with the draft coming up next week, we're literally a week away. Actually less than a week away because the draft's next Thursday starts. I want to get your opinion because we've had some really strong draft classes, and I actually have a list of some of the best ones, and I want to see who's done their homework and who knows and who has any idea. I'm sure the young folks are going to say 2012 because RG3 and Kirk Cousins and Alfred Morris.
Nah.
No.
Does anyone want to take a shot at this? I'll
go late.
This
Let me go first, late.
Go ahead.
All right. It's three of them really stand out to me the most, right?
Mm-hmm.
1983 had Darryl Green and Charles Mann.
Number one. Oh, and Daryl Grant.
And Daryl Grant.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
2000 stood out a lot to me. It was Chris Samuels and LeVar Arrington. I think it was like number one.
I remember that.
Overall.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I'm just biased for Sean, man. It's 2004. We had Chris Cooley and Sean Taylor. Those are the three that I think.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff. So I got two other ones. You gotta be an old timer for one of these. Do you know in the 1965 draft they took Jerry Smith
I was only 10
in the 9th round, and Chris Hamburger. Y'all, I mean, come on, man. He was Chris Hamburger in the 18th round.
They had 18 rounds.
I think you're back.
He had the big beat for this one.
It was only like 8 teams or something.
Yeah, that's right. There were
no, it wasn't 8 teams, man. Come on.
No, it was probably like.
Yeah, George Allen was.
Shirley, you killing us.
Okay.
Okay, and then I got one more. 1981. You had Art Monk.
Art Monk was 80, man.
And in the 5th round, Dexter Manley.
Okay.
Wow.
I mean, these are top heavy drafts. I
1980,
mean,
man.
yeah, I mean, but I'm gonna tell you, the draft that I think has a chance to be their all-time best when it's all said and done was the one we just witnessed. Yep.
This is
Yeah.
It's the one we just witnessed because they produced 4 starters on it last year. And then the other guys this year is going to be kind of like their draft this year.
Yeah, exactly.
Added in with the 5-day picks they have.
I think McGee's going to surprise some people, man. He's going to get.
He would have been. He would have been the 3rd linebacker if he was never.
He'll get out there.
Yeah. So and I think remember Dominique Hampton. I think is going to surprise people too. So
that's what we have is we still have a lot in reserve. I know everyone is concerned about the only 5 draft, but we still got guys in reserve that haven't even seen the field with any amount of time. I mean, dogs, like you said, McGee and Newton. That boy gonna start eating some folks, y'all. I mean, that's why they brought him. That's why they brought him in. And he's just. You got to figure he was behind the Alabama wall and so that was going to have him subservient anyway.
Well, he had 2 foot surgeries, right?
Exactly.
So we never really saw his potential yet. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Look at some of that young man's highlights and everything.
Trust me, I'm a Penn State dude, and he tormented Illinois.
Yeah,
Illinois was bringing some wood. Their defense, people don't remember Illinois defense. They had the cornerback Witherspoon. That was a top 10 pick in the draft. They had Quan Martin, who's obviously, with Washington, and they had Newton. They were doing some things. So I think he's going to have a big year this year and not be in any kind of reserve role. He's going to be in a kind of a frontline face now. So I'm expecting a lot from him. And I think a guy like, like Ben Sinnott and Luke McCaffrey, they're going to benefit. Luke's probably going to have a big year.
Yeah.
When I say big year, Luke might have 20, 25 catches this year, and that's going to be a lot for him.
He's going to find
the guys around him. So, I think
he's
that's
going to find
to get in the end zone.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think Sennett's the one I'm looking for from last year.
He's
the guy I'm looking for.
Yeah, you got to keep Zach healthy, man. Get him on the field to keep Zach healthy. He's going to get more snaps.
Well, and I say this all the time. Sometimes everyone doesn't come in and hit the ground running like Jaden. Jaden is almost the best thing that ever happened to show young people that you can come right in and do work if you prepare yourself. But he's also probably the worst thing that could happen for some young guys.
He's
I realize you got to put the work in.
Yes.
So I agree. I think that there's 5 to 6 guys. John Baptiste, defensive end. Don't forget about these guys.
Too. I mean, he was open a lot last season.
Absolutely. So these are guys that will benefit. Undrafted guys, Tyler Owens. I mean, there's a lot of players on this roster that will be unveiled this year, and they're going to be better for it, and you should be ready for it. So, all right. So I did tell you that I had a question for you, and I did not send this intentionally. And this is to test your fandom, because this is something that I asked years ago on ESPN radio, and it surprisingly you get mixed answers. But I'm just curious to see, because most of the time you guys and Sheila, you're on the same page with each other. So I want to see where you go with this, because of the recent history of the franchise, and I mean like the last 30 years, not discounting the past 2 years with Josh Harris ownership. We saw bad football. We saw a couple years where they were competitive. They got into a wild card game, but you knew it wasn't sustainable. Well, the question that I have for you is, if you were guaranteed, this is a hypothetical question here now, so don't take it too serious, but if you were guaranteed over the next decade that Washington would win 2 Super Bowls, would you sign up for that? Or would you sign up for Washington guaranteed that they, over the next decade, are in the playoffs for 6 years? You just don't know the outcome. What would you sign up for?
This is easy for
May
me.
you repeat that one more time?
I'll repeat it one more time. 2 Super Bowls guaranteed over the next decade, or guaranteed 6 playoff appearances over the next decade, but you don't know the outcome of those 6 playoff appearances.
Shit, so those Super Bowls, though.
Super Bowls.
See, I'm signing up for the 6 playoffs.
That's what I was going to say. But are the Super Bowls like? Can we not win Super Bowls any other year? We can only have those 2.
Nah, it's just 2 out of 10 years.
Playoffs. Any given Sunday.
You got to take the playoffs.
Number 5 can win if he gets in that damn tournament.
What I'm saying.
So I'm saying six playoffs.
It's a no-brainer, isn't it? Like you take the 6 because you can get 6 Super Bowls.
I'll say this.
I'm going to feel the Sheila on this one. Sheila, we were old enough to remember what this town is like when they win a Super Bowl.
All right,
okay?
so let's do this. Let's do this because everybody's perky now. I like it. Let's go around the horn here. We'll start with Sheila. What you say on this one, Sheila?
I'm like, we almost there, and I just see we gonna be there in the next year or 2. Mm-hmm. I want the 2 Super Bowls.
Ooh.
I want them right now. I don't want to wait 6 years from now. I might not
so the other 8 years. So the other 8 years they could be just terrible, and you'd be okay with that.
Right.
We'll rebuild again, but I want the 2 Super Bowls.
All right. Okay. So Sheila says 2 Super Bowls. Jay, what you got, man?
Take the 2 Super Bowls, and I'll keep it real with you. This specific year, like I think the Super Bowl parade would have been like after Valentine's Day or something like that this year. I made my Valentine's Day plans with my wife in DC. Thank you. We was going to win the Super Bowl and have a parade, and I was ready.
Well, see, that's a mistake. I got. I'll give you a lot of love. We family, but don't ever do that. That's a recipe for disaster.
Hey, we had a good time, but I was ready. I'll take the 2 Super Bowls.
That's not a good strategy.
Yeah, man. I think all the old heads, we telling you, man, just listen to the old heads, man. We're not gonna steer you wrong. That's gonna get you in the dog house.
No. She loved it. She was just as excited as I was.
You a newlywed?
Sure she was.
Yeah, you a
newlywed? I'm married 3 years. I was my high school sweetheart.
Yeah, I was gonna say, man, he learned them tricks don't work, man. You got.
I'll add me in about 27 more.
Exactly.
It was worth a try.
Because I'm gonna tell you where you could have messed up there. You planned it around them, around what could have happened a parade. Do you understand had they won and that would have become the norm for you now? So now you're in trouble because if they didn't do it the next year or the year after, she's looking at you like, what we doing?
That was a trick question, kind of.
All right, so let's go around the horn here. Brad, what you got, man? What would you do?
I'm taking the 6 playoff appearances because those Super Bowl wins could be years apart from each other. And then we're going to be back at where we are right now. So those 6 playoff wins, because who knows what can happen in that. And consistency, man, is great, right? At least we there. So I'm taking the 6 playoff appearances.
All right, Tony, what you got?
I live with that.
Yeah, man, I had a lot of PTSD from the old last 30 years of bad stuff going on, right? But as like the season went on this year, like about halfway through it, I really started believing in what's going on. Like the sustainability is real to me. Like the process looks like it's real. Number 5 is definitely real.
Yes,
so
he is.
Those 6 playoff appearances are going to garner more than 2 Super Bowls. You know, so give me them playoff appearances, man.
That's because I want to see how this ends. All right, so Herb, go ahead, and take the floor. What you got?
Hey, look,
Sheila,
back me up. Sheila, back me up. They just don't understand what this place turns into.
Hello,
I've been there for the feeling.
I will take
to some oblivion somewhere.
Rev's got the
but you could have it turn into that 6 times.
But it's not a Super Bowl.
Like, let me just say this. I don't care if the first Super Bowl is in year 1 and the last Super Bowl is in year 10. Okay. I don't care. If you tell me I got 2 in 10 years, okay, and that will give us what 5 wins?
That's 5.
5 wins. Oh, come on.
I guess my train of thought is so I want to make sure everybody understands the question. You're guaranteed 2 Super Bowls over the next decade. That's it. Or you're guaranteed 6 playoff appearances over the next decade where you don't know the full outcome of that playoff.
Right.
The rings.
You're saying they could win it.
They could win it 6 times.
But here's the thing. But I got 2 in my pocket. I want the 2 in my pocket.
Yeah.
Okay.
I got to have the 6 appearances.
Herb
My thing is, you got to
from
be
that
in the party. You got to be in the party to dance.
Herb from that bird in the
Nah.
hand beats 2 in the bush theory.
Yes, indeed. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So you're saying, like, you saying since we'll
Because
make the
I
playoffs,
also have
we
been
have an
through the last
opportunity.
30 years when they haven't done diddly poop. And
Yeah,
I'm
but
with
see,
that
y'all
thing.
still stuck
Okay.
on that. I'm saying, like, if I know that this current collection of players with Jaden at quarterback is going to be in the playoffs 6 times out of the next decade, that's telling me that they're going to be pretty good.
6 playoff games.
Hey, look, the Cowboys been in the playoffs 6, 7, whatever times, and they ain't never brought nothing home. Okay,
They got
Buffalo
number
Bills.
5.
Y'all see who the
Buffalo
fans
Bills.
are that held their breath all the way through Philadelphia. And when
You
it
heard of
was
Buffalo?
over, they finally exhaled and said, did we just have a really good season? Did I really see what I thought I saw? I just think that you can't turn down 6 playoff appearances where you could go to the Super Bowl 6 times.
We're gonna get that
Turn
anyway.
it down.
All
right, so
Tony.
okay, so
That's
who we
right,
got? We got Brandon. Brandon, what would you do?
I guarantee you, by the time that stadium's built, there's going to be 2 trophies sitting up in there already.
Hello.
I'm going with the 6 because I know we're going to get them. I know we're going to get them. I know we're going to get 2. We're going to get 2 Super Bowls in the next 5 years. Trust me. I know we are.
All right, so
that
boy
is not playing around.
So
JD5
look,
is not playing around.
Right now, we're tied. We have Jay, Sheila, and Herb with 2 Super Bowls. That's what they want. And Brad, Tony, and Brandon both say 6 playoffs. So we have Reverend, Mike, and Zell up. Okay, so Zell, you're up. What you got?
So for me, and this is what I believe, the season that we just had, talent-wise, I think that's the worst we're going to be talent-wise, right?
Ever.
For a while, for a long time.
Okay.
And we made it to the NFC Championship, right?
Yeah.
And then on top of that, Jaden is not a rookie anymore. So we can only go up from here. And then if you're guaranteeing 6 playoff positions, knowing the way that Jaden ends games and the way that we perform in the fourth quarter and the culture that we're building, I gotta take this. I want to take the Super Bowl because I've never seen a Super Bowl and I'm longing for it. But it's like I believe in the team, so
you got to play the odds on that one, man. You know, I agree. So all right, so
if I don't go take this lady to dinner, I'm going to be in real trouble here. So
hey, you heard that, Jay, right? See, man.
It's my last night in New Orleans. So,
hey, Herb, see you next week, bro.
Jay.
See you next week.
It's going to be a long plane ride home.
All right, let's make sure you get back from New Orleans safely. All right.
Love you, man.
Take care.
Take care.
Hey, brother.
All right. So Mike Barrett, you're up.
I'm tied up with the two. Now we tied 2 Super Bowls.
Oh no!
and here's my thinking. I don't believe I would play the odds that we'll win 2 Super Bowls. For me to take the 6 playoffs, I'll have to believe that we'll win at least
3 of them.
Half of those playoff appearances are going to be Super Bowl. That's why I'm not taking those odds.
See, I guess I'm not understanding that theory, that philosophy on that. That's like poker playing. I don't play poker. So where does 3 come from? Because if you think that if you say they have to win half that, no, they basically you get 2 Super Bowls,
right?
You could be the worst team in football for 8 years, and you guys would be comfortable with that because you saw 2 Super Bowls. That could be in year 1 and year 10. Nah, I can't live with that.
At least we got 2 Super Bowl rings though.
Look, I gotta cover it. I've been covering losers for a long time.
Kansas just won what?
They've won 3.
Kansas City's won 3 in the last 6 years?
Yeah, they've just won 2 in 10 years.
And they lost 2. And they lost 2. And they lost 2. This is all in the past 6 years.
Yeah. 7 what about
years.
Philly?
So they won
Philly's 17 this year.
Yeah, Philly had in the last 7 years. Philly has 2 and a loss. That's 3 Super Bowls appearances. Yeah. So, I mean,
3. Okay, you said they went to 3. Philly, right?
Yeah,
yeah. 1-2,
1-2, right.
1-2, lost 1.
And then we got to think if we consistently 6 playoff runs, then we become a destination where people want to come play here.
Yeah,
already
man, like
we
you're
already
used to. That means you're accustomed and used to
Winning,
winning.
yeah.
So you would think the goal, like the goal
win.
now for them is
About all that.
it's Super Bowl or bust for this team this year.
That's right.
You heard
That's right.
heard Trent say it on the show with me the other day that they left one in Philly and they want to run it back. So that's what I'm saying. So Rev, we didn't get your vote. So
He said it. He did.
Nah, I'm going with the 6. And I mean, we say in 5 we trust. Where's the trust?
That's what I'm saying. Y'all done jump ship on the man.
Where's the trust? You're gonna tell me that for the next 6 years, I'm at least gonna have the opportunity. I forgot who I heard. I think it was either somebody from Philadelphia or some other team that said the last thing basically that they want to see is the ball in 5's hand with the clock running out or in with the game that in that fourth quarter.
Because you know it's curtains.
and I mean, and that's all and that's all he need is opportunity. So if he's gonna be in the playoffs 6 times, you don't think that young man is coming away with at a minimum 3 of these?
Yeah. I mean, all you got to get
at
is
a
2.
minimum.
If you get 2, you got the 2 that y'all were dying to get. But guess what? You get the 2 and 4 more playoff appearances, so you still gonna have some good football to watch.
JD's gonna give you your 2 and raise you 2 is what he's gonna do.
I like that. I like that.
Agree,
so right now, this is what we're looking at. Jay, Sheila, Mike Barrett, and Herb Sr. all said 2 Super Bowls. So it's 4 of you that said that. Rev, Brad, Tony, Brandon, and Zell all said 6 playoffs. So the 6 playoffs wins out on that one 5-4. And if I were to add it on there too, it wouldn't have been no tie because I would have taken them 6 playoffs. So
yeah.
Okay, y'all won.
You gotta believe in what we got going on right now, man.
That's where I'm at. That's all we got.
That for this world.
and I'm surprised though, Sheila. I'm surprised. I'm surprised, Mike. I'm surprised with you too because y'all have seen Super Bowl. See, if this was Jay or Zell,
I want to see some more
young guys. I could see them saying, "Give me 2," because I've never seen one. But even, I mean, well, Zell did say 6 playoffs, so at least he's understanding the way this thing is going.
But like as dominant as we were during that period that we lived through, we won 3. So
and went 30.
True. They went to 4.
But wait. They won 3. Went to 4, right? And also win the NFC Championship game another year and lost to the Giants.
That's right.
You talking 6 years right there out of a decade, and basically, if we could have those 6 years back, everyone's signing up for that. So do you understand what I'm saying?
Oh no,
it's almost like you're guaranteed to maybe be in a conference championship. You're guaranteed to lose in a divisional playoff game. You're guaranteed to be in some Super Bowls. And I think the difference is they did that with different quarterbacks back in the day.
Right.
No offense to them because they did their job.
Yeah,
this
we got
one they got now
talent.
is a little different.
Well, your odds go.
I don't want to go now.
Yeah, no, the odds go up because
I said he want to go now. He want to win next year.
Game situation.
But that's what I'm saying. Like I think at this time next year, we're gonna all look back and we're gonna have this conversation. And if this team were to get, let's just say, as far as the NFC Championship again, I still think everyone would be disappointed. Don't get me wrong, like that. But I don't think anyone would be thinking it's a failure of a season. Everyone would be thinking that they have assured everyone that they are here to stay. And they just have to get over the hump. So that's all I'm saying. Like the hope is real now. And when you have that type of quarterback, so I could ask you guys millions of these hypothetical questions. This is what I do with guys in the locker room all the time, by the way. That's my job. My spill with the players. I might say Popeyes or KFC. I'm serious. I do it all the time to them. Popeyes or KFC or Nike, Adidas. I mean, we do it all the time. We even talk about music. I asked them one time, New Edition or Boys to Men. I mean, it's little stuff like that. So these hypotheticals are real when you think about them. And like, so I could ask you guys, we could have raised the stakes and said, for the 2 Super Bowl crowd out of the next decade, you're fine. Or you're guaranteed to go to 4 Super Bowls, but you don't know the outcome.
I'll take
We
that.
don't know the outcome for the
I
two
took 4
either.
Super Bowls.
I'll take a
Super
horse.
Bowl.
But it's no different. It's no different from the 6 playoff
It's way
appearances.
different. It's way different.
How?
But we don't know the outcome.
Don't know the outcome.
You still don't know the outcome of the Super Bowl.
The Bills and lose 4 in a row.
Thank
right.
you, Zell. So
Zay, you right.
you don't know the outcome.
That's way different. We
Bills
could
don't know what to do. They
We've
done
been
lost
to the
it.
playoffs at 7 and
Been in the
9,
East.
right?
Okay.
So you guys
I
would
wanna
be
take the
comfortable with them going to
consistency.
the Super Bowl 4 times and they lose 4 times?
No.
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 Nobody said that.
No.
Just
So
give me
you
the
think your
ring.
chance? So you think your chances are that much higher, obviously, because you're automatically playing in the Super Bowl.
Yes.
It's the same thing to me as getting in the
Honestly,
playoffs.
If we didn't have them mistakes,
Because I'm gonna be honest with you,
we
I'd
would
rather.
have went this year. That's the
Well,
way
I'll be honest with you. I'd rather lose in the playoffs, the divisional games, as opposed to get to the Super Bowl and lose.
Yeah,
Okay.
that hurts.
Oh.
That would be.
Yeah, well, that's
That would.
true.
I don't know if my old heart can take
Yeah,
those.
I-
4
I-
losses.
a Buffalo
Not if
Bills
it's
fan.
Dallas. Not if it's Dallas.
Yeah, ask a Buffalo Bills fan.
Yeah.
Hey,
we lost 2 Super Bowls, didn't we? Didn't George Allen go?
Yeah, we
George Allen, he
lost to Miami.
lost to Miami.
Right. Miami,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And we lost to Oakland. Or
Well,
whatever.
it was the LA Raiders at the time.
Right.
LA Raiders. Yeah.
I
But
love
that
that. I love that question, Lake. I love that one, man.
Which one? Which was the
the-
hypothetical?
Yeah, I mean,
I got plenty for you guys.
Oh
trust
yeah.
me. I got plenty of ones for you on that one. So
hold up. So we lost to Miami in
Do it.
72.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When they were
And
they had
we
an
lost
undefeated
to
season.
Oakland.
In 84.
84.
84.
83 season, 84.
It was 83
Yeah.
season. Yep.
Yeah.
And we, okay.
Been
And you
there.
guys do, and people don't
Yeah,
know this. That
5
Miami,
Super Bowls.
that Miami team back in 71, that was undefeated,
Mhm.
Yes.
came into that game against the Redskins as underdogs.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a
Yeah,
close
they
game
did.
too, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
they
did.
Washington played. I mean,
And didn't
they played terrible.
they didn't play Sonny
Yeah, they
Jurgensen,
did play.
right?
Sonny
They
Jurgensen
benched
got
him, right?
hurt. No, he
Right.
he was hurt.
Okay.
So he had a
Okay.
broken leg, so he couldn't play. So and
You
they
know what we was
still
doing,
eat
Billy
the
Kimball,
game out.
okay.
I mean, so these are history lessons for you, Zell. But I'm sure he knows. Hey, listen, one of the things that I did want to do for some of you gentlemen and Sheila as well, but I want, people are asking me all the time, like, they're like, the people that work for you, that come on with you, they're pretty good. I'm like, they don't work for me. These are fan supporters that want to come on, and they can't believe, like, some of the people can't believe your knowledge. Like really, this is what we do. We have real good conversations. So what I wanted to do was, if you have a show, Zell, I know you do, plug your show, man. Use this platform to get people to see where they can check your stuff out.
Yeah, man. So I got a show on YouTube called Raise Hell Zell. Y'all can come check me out. All opinionated, talk, updates, everything Washington Commanders. I usually try to post every day. So yeah, man, just come and check me out. I'm an open book, so I like to discuss this type of stuff. So
yeah. See, this is, I always try to make it a point to, listen, I just always say, you got to pay it forward, man. Whatever you're doing, if you got a platform and you can pay it forward, you do that. And this thing is really taken off. I mean, I have folks at the radio station the other day say, you got to tell the fans to call in. And I'm like, you sure? Because it might get busy. But that's what they said. They want you guys calling in. So if you got some free time at 11 o'clock on Tuesday, call on in. We'll get you on the radio. We'll do what we do. The same thing. What I'm going to do is, I'm going to email, because I don't know the number off the top of my head. I'm going to email everyone, in the group. I'm going to email you the number to call in. And yeah, you can come in, and it's going to be literally I got a special guest coming on this week. I can't say it yet, but it's somebody that's definitely can remember them days in that stadium. So
Okay.
yeah, so we're gonna have some fun with that. This one was good today. I like this one. I like the questions. You guys cool with me sending you questions, or you just want it?
Oh yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
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 Okay, because I
Definitely.
had a good one that I was like, I might have to save that one till after the draft.
That's a good
but
one.
yeah, so this hypothetical, we're gonna do some hypotheticals every week. So but I think the crew that said the 6 playoffs, I'll be honest with you, I think you were thinking smartly. That's the way to do it.
Oh, what you saying about it?
Sorry, Sheila. Sorry, Mike. I mean, I'm sorry. I mean, I'm sorry,
offended.
Jay.
I'm offended.
Hurt.
You just
Nah,
want to
man.
win now.
Quick question, Lake.
Yes, sir.
Are we drafting on Thursday night at all? If you had to guess.
That's a long ways to go down.
It depends. And I say that to make it real short, 10 seconds or less. It depends if 2 players are sitting there at 29.
Right.
I think they would definitely take them. But the hypothetical is, now here we go again. If one of those players is sitting there and the team's behind, I can't say us, behind Washington, doesn't need that position, I think they'll trade back. They'll trade back and still get that player. So I'm just going to tell you the 2 names that I got on my list for you to remember. Mike Green, that's one.
Okay.
All right. Mike Green from Marshall, defensive end. And then my other guy that I really feel like if he's sitting there, they might jump on him is Luther Burden.
Oh God, if he's there, jeez, man.
Yeah.
If he's there, that'd be beautiful.
Think, I know people are going to say, but you need defense, you need the trenches, you need edge rushers. I get it.
Take the best guy, man.
But you got
I
number 5. And if you can get number 5, any semblance of that LSU offense that he had, you're going to outscore teams. As simple as that. So I'm just saying, Luther Burden, Terry, and Debo, man, that's ugly.
Yeah.
So those are my 2
If we
guys.
get that, I may switch my answer.
Oh, they're going to stack.
I think y'all see them. I think y'all see them. Mike is really having a tough time. He's really thinking, man, I should have gone with the 6 playoff appearances.
He's staying alone.
They won't change their vote, Lake.
Nah, man, you can't look.
He gonna change his.
I'm telling you, Shayla, you gonna be thinking like if they go to the Super Bowl and win it next year, that's 1 down. You still got 9 years left.
Okay,
yeah.
I think about it.
1 more.
What if they go 4 more times? Then you get 4 out of the. You only got the 2. We get 4.
Man, that would be something. Let's do this before we get out of here. I did want to ask Zell, being one of the younger guys in the group, would you say seeing Jaden? So you remember Sean Taylor, of course, but you were much younger. But seeing Jaden, was that your first time really seeing a Washington football player at skill positions? Because everyone knows Trent was mauling people, but I'm talking about like at a high profile position, play at an elite NFL level. Was that your first time really seeing that?
At an elite NFL level, no, because I mean Sean Taylor did play at elite NFL level.
Okay, yeah, absolutely.
But the thing is that Jaden plays quarterback, right? So it's a little bit different when it's a quarterback playing it. I've never seen this type of quarterback play in my lifetime, right? So it's different. It's just different than any other position. It's different than any other player that I've ever seen play because he played so well his rookie season and he plays quarterback. So
we can all say that we've never seen a quarterback that great.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think we've ever
seen it.
Yeah, we haven't, man.
But you know what else you saw too? You saw Terry become an elite receiver.
Sure,
100%.
Quarterback.
Getting him the ball.
You know what, Lake? For you to say that, because you was critical on Terry for it.
I was.
And Terry's my boy. That's my guy. You see when the show comes on. That's me and him love.
And people forget he started the season off so slow too.
Yeah, he didn't hit until the Cincy game.
And do you guys remember? Do you guys remember what I said? Like
I do.
people were
I
like,
remember what
you're
you said.
harsh on Terry. And I'm like, no. What I said, they were like, well, he has these numbers and he has no quarterbacks and he's still getting 1,000 yards. And I'm like, listen, what I'm saying is I want to see if Terry can ascend his game to be a top 5 receiver, because now you have one of those ones at quarterback, and you'll know if he can do it, because there won't be any reasons for him not to, because he's got a quarterback now that opens the field up, does things.
Can I add
And
this?
what do we see? I
Can
mean,
can I add this to your comment
yes,
about
sir.
Terry?
Uh-huh.
I felt like you said, like, yeah, he did really well with touchdowns and yards last year. I felt like there was a lot left, you know, out there, specifically that New Orleans game. He should have had, at least 150 and another touchdown. But I mean, specifically like the receptions, I want to see him, continue to ascend with that. But for me, I think the play call, like I said, like, how they feed players like CD or just some of the other top receivers, or Jefferson. He does a lot of things deep, but how they feed,
he
those
gets
number
less
one
targets
receivers.
than them guys.
Yeah, I want to see him be fed, but I think there's still a lot of things that we're leaving out there.
I think what we saw with Terry last year, and I'm comfortable saying this. I got to see him in the locker room. That's my guy, by the way. And Terry and me have great conversations. And I think he respected me for saying what I said. I didn't say Terry was a bum. I didn't say he's no good.
No,
I said I want to see him now take his game to be an
Another
elite
level.
receiver.
Yeah.
And he did it. And the reason why I was saying it was because I knew it was there to be done. There will be no excuses now, because now you got a quarterback. Now you got an offensive coordinator.
He
now
took
you have
full
the
advantage of
structure
all
in the
that.
organization. And what did he do? He went out, and that was the best we've ever seen. Not just all year, but as the season progressed, he got
better.
stronger and stronger and
Off
stronger.
the field too.
Exactly. He became a leader, like vocal leader. So I saw with my own eyes, I saw Terry become everything that I was saying the alphas do. And now their production on the field shows it. And now you can speak and you can say things. And Terry got a lot of dog in him this year, if y'all noticed.
Oh, yeah, he did. Those
Terry
pep
was
talk
chirping
speeches,
with people
man.
a lot this year. Like
Pep talk speeches.
his confidence grew. Like I think for Terry, he proved to himself that I am one of the elite receivers now.
Yeah,
in the game.
exactly.
Yeah.
So that's all I'm saying.
Those true professionals are going to hear things like what you said, like, and not take it as well, it's a challenge because they are competitive. So you know, as if there's a such thing, which I find crazy, but if there's a such thing as constructive criticism, figure that one out.
That's how we were raised.
But that level of motivation, and I think Tony was saying, and maybe Jay, but the one thing that family that is so different than the other regime as far as coaching wise, these guys coach situationally. You can guarantee to see the changes throughout. They're not going to let the same mistake keep happening over and over and over and over.
Absolutely,
they're going to adjust. So if we need to either throw Terry open or scheme with Terry, you can guarantee the mad scientist is going to be scheming. We're only going into year 2. They couldn't do everything in year 1. So look at what's coming.
And they didn't have all the pieces. And I'm saying this too.
All right,
Mike, appreciate you, man.
Thanks, Mike.
I'm saying this too. Other players this year are going to have to do what Terry did last year. They're going to have to step their game up to another level if they're going to beat Philadelphia, or if they're going to, get to the promised land, so to speak. And I'm okay saying that. That's my job. My job is to not be biased, and some of these guys, friends or not, I still have to do my job.
Yeah, and right.
I did. I had a guy literally was mad at me. He said, "You're dogging Terry. You said he wasn't any good." And I said, "Find me any tape where I've ever said that. You just do me a favor, find it for me, and then I'll admit if I said it. But you're not going to find it because I never said that."
No, you didn't.
The guy was a Pro Bowl receiver, but there's a difference between being a Pro Bowler and an All Pro.
All right, like check it out, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
he became all-pro.
Terry has like
I'm going.
he doesn't have all the like qualities that like Jamar Chase and a lot of them other guys have, but he makes the most out of the ones he's got.
Worker.
He has a
Hard
heart.
worker.
And
A
he kind of
heart.
like he set the standard of what it's going to be. Like he got up
But
there
then-
on that podium, and he said guys aren't going to come in here shucking and jiving. They're going to fall into line. What we got going on here, or they're going to phase themselves out. You know
But
what I
you
mean?
think,
So, I mean,
you know,
stand-
Jay, Tony, not to cut you off, but you think of those receivers, the CeeDee Lambs, the Jamar Chase, a whole lot come with them too, though. Terry don't bring all that with him.
Yeah.
Right.
He don't bring that. And then to Jay's point, like to feed him, you like to feed him to get better. Them teams, they got to feed those guys to win.
Yeah.
The fact that we got number 5, we don't have to feed him
100%, because when people were like, you only had one catch against Philadelphia, and I'm like, they still lost the game at the very end in Philadelphia.
And I like how we talk about guys whose jersey I sit in front of. We can do it every week. You know what I'm saying? We can do it every
week. Listen, and I say this is, again, you guys know me, and I try to just live humble, live right. But every now and then I do have to remind people stuff. Okay. Yeah. And I tell people, all you got to do is look at the intro to this show, and you'll see myself and who talking. Mm-hmm. That man came over to me after practice.
Right.
Okay? It wasn't anything bad. it was love. And it was him telling me, because I said to him, it's about time. That's he's walking by, I said, it's about time. And he turned and looked, and he came over. Well, I can say it. You're not supposed to talk to Terry one-on-one unless PR sets it up for you. That's just how it is. He came to me. So we're good. So when he said that, he said, man, this is what I've been saying. I said, I know. This is what you've been saying since you've been here. It's throw the ball down the field to this guy because he can run. Stop making him a possession underneath receiver. Let him go down the field. So we're talking about that. That's what that video is. So I have no problem saying that.
Good stuff.
But see, those are the type of things that people on the outside don't see. And then they're thinking that you're saying the guy's no good. No, man. I wanted to see him do what I saw him doing in practice. Up to that point, I wanted to see that be consistent. I wanted to see him know that he could do it, that he could be an elite receiver, not just good, because he's already good, but I mean great. And for my money this year, there's only 2 receivers right now I have over him in a ranking. That's Jamar Chase, who's 1 for me, and Justin Jefferson, number 2. And then I got Terry. And if somebody tells me
2 dogs,
give me somebody else, there's no way he's number 3, I'm gonna argue with you. Yes, he is.
Guys get double the targets Terry gets, man.
Yeah, they do. But this is the thing. They also get double teamed all the time.
Right.
And they still get those targets. So that's the conversations we're having. But you couldn't have those conversations with Terry before because he didn't have a quarterback that could throw every throw. That could make every
11
throw
different
to get him the ball.
QBs, man.
Right.
It's like
So
crazy.
I'm telling y'all this: if you thought Terry had a special year last year,
he's gonna blow the hell up
you
now.
just wait to see what happens this year. He may not have not have more yards, and he may not have. I guarantee you the touchdowns are going to be close. It's going to be right in the same thing. I don't think he's going to have the same yards because they got another weapon now, and they're probably going to draft another weapon too. But as far as impactful plays, it's going to be like the NFC Championship game. What did he have? 2 catches, but one of them things he took it to the house.
Right.
You know, that's what I'm talking about. So
that's why I want them to draft the.
Bye, Sheila.
Okay, bye, Sheila. Okay,
thank you, Sheila.
That's why I want them to draft an offensive weapon. I would love another wide receiver like Golden out of Texas, but if they can get one of them Jets and a running back,
it's
and that play action with Debo underneath and Terry at the top, man,
they're getting both of them. Trust me, they're getting a wide receiver and a running back.
I want it.
I was at the Falcons game and we spurged. I was literally row 1. 50-yard line. I was right behind Jaden. Okay. And Terry didn't have a good game that game. He didn't catch a lot. And I stopped watching the game and I watched Jaden. He'd walk over to the bench. He'd walk over to the receivers.
Yep.
He'd go talk. I was trying to read his lips, but he'd go talk to Terry. He's like, I'm going to get you. I'm going to get you. And he came back. And after every sequence, he'd come back to him. And obviously Terry was probably a little frustrated, but at the end of the game, He was like, you know what, man, we got the W. We came in. That's what I love about Terry, man.
That
dude
matters.
has endured a lot of stuff, all the different regimes, all the different coaches, all the different BS that he's had to deal with. And to finally see that kid get his flowers this year, it was so much fun to watch him.
He never stopped smiling. Never stopped smiling all year.
Name one of those wide receivers that you name, Lake, or any other ones that don't get the carries in a game that they, I mean, the catches in a game that they need to win and be as professional as Terry.
They will not be okay.
They won't be.
He's all class.
They will not be okay with that.
Right.
And again, Terry, and this is why you guys remember a couple of weeks ago, one of my hypotheticals was who was the face of the Commanders. And naturally, everyone's like, it's Jaden because he's the quarterback. This is a unique situation. This is a unique situation here in Washington. I don't know. I know this sounds crazy. You might even say, as a journalist, you should know it's Jaden. Terry has been here for a while, and he's endured. Yeah, and he's endured a lot. And for him to have, I mean, you could make an argument that Terry's impact last year was just as great as Jaden's because they were one and the same. They worked off each other.
Imagine.
I still think Terry's the face of the Commanders until maybe after this year. Then it'll fully be Jaden's team. Is that fair to say that?
Yeah, I'd say that.
Imagine if that Hail Mary. Imagine if the Hail Mary was caught by Terry.
Oh my God, forget it.
I mean, it would have still been a dub.
It
pretty much was Terry.
The next week against Dallas.
Yeah, exactly. Terry had to play. I mean, which one was more miraculous, the Hail Mary or the pass against Dallas?
I mean, the Dallas pass was pretty dope.
Dallas pass might have been tougher, man.
The way he avoided those players,
he took it to the house. Yeah, he had to get going.
I mean, who was the first one tackling Noah when he caught that Hail Mary? Terry was the first one there. Congratulations.
Terry was there. Like, I mean, man, guys, look. We could do this forever, man. Right. You guys know we could do this. I know some of y'all probably got some Friday plans. Jay, you better have some plans for your wife, man. So
we good. I'm good.
Yeah, I'm stalling because mine told me when you get off, we working out. And I'm like, I got out of that by not working out this morning. She said, no, I didn't even think we're going to the gym. So yeah, that's
get it in, Lake. Get it in, dog.
There, man. So,
but look, so Lake, I can give you this one when you get this here, when it absolutely don't matter no more, at that level, then you're okay.
Well, I can say this, not to give away my secrets, but you doing television, I can't do that just yet. It's either that or just off in general.
Right. She ain't having the off. You know that one.
Oh no, you already know that. I cut it off once.
We ain't going with that.
So I don't mind telling people this story. She says all the time. She says, when I watch the shows, you're like talking about us sometimes, and I'm like, would you rather me talk about somebody else? But I got a little funny story. So we were in West Virginia. Years ago, I was the morning anchor for ABC in West Virginia outside of Charleston, and she was the evening anchor. And So when my shift was over, I was, I had to be in at like 3 a.m, do 6 o'clock in the morning, and I had to do a 10 o'clock, Good Morning America, and then I had to do 12 o'clock. So when my last show was done at 12, I would go home and she would be waiting for us to work out. I'm already tired, but for us to work out before she went in. So one day I shaved my beard off. It was gone. And went on the air, and she just so happened didn't watch me that morning. She was doing some work, and she didn't watch me. So she's laid down on the mat, and I show up, and I'm like, "Hey, pretty girl." And she looks up at me and was like startled, like didn't know who I was. And then she said, "What did you do?" I said, "Well, you don't like it?" She said, "Nah, we can't do that."
Oh man!
So if you're clean shaven, you can get away with it. I can't do that. So, yeah. All right, fellas. Well, look, man, you guys know I love doing this, man. You guys make my week, man. Every Friday when we do this, it just gets better and better. And I'm gonna keep bringing some more of these hypotheticals and kind of stump you guys. So, but this today was good because it was close. It was 6. It was what 5-4.
Yeah.
So it was right there, So that's why I'm not going to give you my vote to break the tie because it was already done. But yeah, I'm going to give you guys the number so you guys can call in on Tuesday if you want. If you can't, I totally understand. But if you want to call in and be on, I'll keep you on the air with me. On the radio on Radio 1. All right. So, gentlemen, appreciate it. You guys have a great weekend, and we'll be back next week. Do the same thing. All right.
All right, family.
Peace, guys.
Y'all stay safe.
Y'all be good. Be safe.
Peace.
See you.
Appreciate the fans coming on with me today, and it was always just a good time with those guys and Sheila, of course. Our first ever female participant, and she's been on now for 3 straight weeks, so definitely appreciate her and all the gentlemen from all over the country for coming on with us. And if you too would like to be a part of the show, it's very simple. All you have to do is just email me, let me know if you want to come on. You can email us at thelakelewisjrshow@gmail.com and let me know you want to come on. And what we do is we'll send you a Zoom link. We'll put you on the distribution list. And what happens is you'll already have the link for every show for every Friday. And all you have to do is log in whenever you have time in your day. And I greatly appreciate everyone for making time in their day. The show starts at 5 o'clock on Friday. So I greatly appreciate everyone from all over the country. Some people as early as 2 o'clock on the West Coast. And then obviously in the Midwest, sometimes it's literally 1 o'clock out there. So, or it's just early. But again, I appreciate everyone for coming on, and we have a great time. And as you saw, it was a good show today, another good show. Greatly appreciative. So everybody out there, have a great weekend, and we're going to be doing this again real soon on Monday. So as always, be safe.